Okay.
All right, we're
Back in
back in
business.
business for another episode of the Boys Review. If you guys like our content, you can like and subscribe, leave us a comment below. Tonight we're doing a classic album review. We were reviewing The Cars by
Yeah.
The
The
Cars.
cars. I don't know why
um
more artists don't just do that.
the
Like
self-titled
why
thing.
bother coming up with a title? Just put your name twice.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It seems a little too I don't know how you describe it. It's a little too on the nose. Just like it's when you run out of titles for your albums, you're just like, that's just guys, let's just call the self-titled one. We have nothing original to come up with.
Yeah.
Otherwise it just sounds so contrived.
The worst is when
Um
they do self-titled like later, like it's not their first album. So it's like their fourth album and it's self-titled. You're like, oh, you ran out of titles, clearly.
clearly. I feel like if it's gonna be self-titled, it should be like their first album, if anything.
Yeah. It's like,
Um
here we are, we're the cars. The
right.
cars.
The Cars.
In case you
No.
forgot, the cars.
In case you forgot, that's us.
And like you, I used to think they made the song Cars by Gary Newman. So
Yeah.
I thought at one point that the Cars had an album called The Cars and they had a song called Cars.
Oh no, me too. Me too, dude. 100%. I was gonna say the same thing. I honestly thought that here in here in my car,
Yeah.
but it turns out the Cars wrote Drive.
That's true.
That's what actually confused them with. Oh my
Yeah. I
gosh.
mean, I kind of like their name. Their name is like kind of ironic because they're like a bunch of nerdy, like ironic,
I
like
know.
hipster types. So like they don't look like the kind of people who'd be like
Bragging about their nice fancy
their
cars.
cars. Like they're kind of
No.
like their whole shtick is like that they're not the typical manly men or like
No, they're not. Well, I was
romantic
gonna
lead
say,
or anything like that.
I think Rika Kasich to me is like, he's so influential because his voice is so unique for rock and roll. It's not like, it doesn't have a lot of machismo. It's not like very deep or anything. It's just it's very nerdy, and there's no
Yeah.
doubt that sound led to bands like Weezer. Just
Oh yeah, for sure.
whole
This is
generation
like
of slacker rock. And
definitely early nerd rock.
yeah.
A lot of new wave. It was just
Hmm?
nerd. They're all nerds.
They're all just kind of a bunch of sensitive nerds. And Rika Kasich definitely has that. Like, it's just a weird, very like nasally voice. Like, you
Yeah.
could like me. I don't care. Like, you're
Yeah.
all I've got to. Like, sometimes I sing it and I'm like, how do I do a good impression of a Rika Kasich act? Sometimes I'll do it on Rock Band and I'll do it on
I don't
purpose.
mind you coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasting all my time. I mean, that's not Rick Ocasek. That's Benjamin or the other.
Oh, it's not?
There's two singers.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
mind blown, right?
Mind blown, indeed.
Yeah, if you hear it, you'll notice it. Like Rick Ocasek's like like his voice readier and like
Mhm.
nasally. And the other guy has like almost a conventional voice, but then doesn't quite make it. Like he's not. He's the one, and he does just what I needed. He does moving in stereo, all mixed up. Like he sings all those songs.
Oh,
Yeah, and then Rick Ocasek does all the other ones.
that's really interesting. I honestly thought it was just Rick Ocasek
No,
for the whole album.
I think for most of their other albums, he's kind of like the main guy, but
It says he's only it says Benjamin Orr is only the vocals. Well, for Just What I Needed. And Moving in Stereo is actually, no, he is like for the rest, like Bye Bye Love, Moving in Stereo.
In there, yeah,
all mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh man, this makes me need. I'm gonna have to listen to it again after this because I want to pick out which ones sound like Orr and which ones sound more like Ocasek. Because I had a sense when I was hearing it, I was like, this sounds very different.
It makes it interesting too. It's kind of like one's like the jock and one's kind of the nerd.
Yeah,
they have like a cool dynamic. I love like 70s bands that are like that. Like Cheap Trick is like that, where two of the guys are like these macho, like long-haired studs, and the others are like average looking Joes. Yeah, I like that. I like the juxtaposition.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm trying to think what could be a good line where you can hear, or whatever. I'll go through it later. But no, it's just a classic album. Actually, my backstory with this album is, so when I was like 15 or 14, I think, I started going through my parents' record collection. I just realized my parents had a record collection. This was like a life-changing moment. I was like 15, and this was the first album that I remembered putting on vinyl.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, I know, right? It was my first vinyl that I put in. And that's why it's so special. That's why, we had to review it because it's like a piece of music, my music history. And I listened to it from start to finish. I don't know why I didn't listen to much vinyls after that, because at the time it wasn't cool. We were in high school and I was like, hey man, you got an MP3? Like, check out, I know I got the iPod.
Yeah.
And nobody thought vinyls were cool until 6 years later, when, well, not nobody, just us dweebs in high school. But it was 6 years later, I heard it vinyl again. I heard Van Halen. I was like, oh, I gotta get Sean on this. This is crazy. And so yeah, it was the Cars. That was the first one I heard. And I think it was years later when you got it also,
Yeah,
which
yeah, I
kind of,
bought it
yeah.
for $4, which is like one of the best $4 I think I've ever spent.
Yeah.
Uh, this album is like just the greatest hits. It's perfect. I
It's
love it.
perfect. I don't think there's a bad song on
Um,
it from
and
start
it's,
to
yeah, it's
finish.
weird. I've heard this album for like most of my life now, and I still love it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
very rare.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still get excited listening to this album,
Yeah.
and I think it's because it's like very well paced. It never wears out its welcome. It's like
Mm-hmm.
9 songs. They're all like every single one of them's catchy. Every single one of them is catchy,
Mm-hmm.
and like 6 of them were hits. So like it's just all killer, no filler. It's great.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. That's the first thing I thought of actually when I kind of rediscovered it again this year when you lent me your copy. It was funny because my mom had a copy, but I listened to yours as if it was a new record basically.
Right.
And I went through, I was like, yeah, this album flows really, really well. Because my favorite albums are the ones that just are seamless. Like, Seasons in the Abyss,
Yeah.
Black and Black, Highway to Hell. Every song is just like, it's like a puzzle, it all just comes together perfectly. And that's what this album is for me. Like the transition for me from You're Alive God Tonight to Bye Bye Love is just perfect. It just ends and it's just like
Yeah.
dan 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 dan.
Yeah.
And it's only 35 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's just super quick, which is what makes it perfect. I think it's just one song after another. Starting with a Good Times Roll. I mean, you couldn't. I think they picked the perfect
Yeah, it's such a
album
good
opener.
intro.
It's
I
such a
used
good
to think
intro.
like just what I needed should be the beginning because it's just like the easily the banger on the album.
Right.
But this one, yeah, I don't know. It's so good. It's so weird and like just nice little mission statement. I used to not like it when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and it took me a while to like it, and then it grew on me.
Yeah.
Just because it's weird. It's got a lot of like. It's more. The Cars are not out of all the new wave bands. They're like probably the most mainstream sounding. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're borderline like classic rock.
Yeah.
But this one is like new wave. It's very strange. Like it has these weird
It has a weird
beeps
atmosphere.
and boops going on.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. I just find like the lyrics that kind of stick with me is like the most is like, let the good times roll, let them make you a clown. I don't know. Is that really what he says? I don't know.
Let them leave you up in the air. They're not
Yeah.
British, but
There's something about them that sounds like, well, it was recorded in London, apparently. So maybe there was a bit of British influence going on. There's definitely like a huge Kinks influence going
yeah.
on with just the simple power chords, you know?
Yeah, I also like that it sounds like it could be generic. Like what a generic thing to say. Let the good times roll.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a sense that it's like there's like a bit of malice, a little bit of menace in there too.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not 100% like on the up and up. Like it sounds like a little alarming.
That's what I read here. Apparently it's supposed to be Ocasek wrote the song as sarcastic commentary on the good times in rock music. It's like a song about what rock and roll, what the good times in rock and roll really mean instead of what they're supposed to be. It's a parody of good times. It's like when it was kind of like not about good times at all, which is really funny because I find that rock and roll does put on that kind of bravado where it's like, yeah, everything's great. We're just rocking and rolling, and
Yeah.
going out with the
Rock
boys,
and roll,
you know,
girls,
rock and roll and
cars.
girls
Yeah.
and rock and roll hoochie coo.
Yeah, because yeah, that's definitely the cars thing. Like even the front covers they're always like supermodels and
Yeah.
car. Like it's clearly over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about it. It's not cynical. It's just it's a parody, which is
Mhm.
which you kind of like need out of rock sometimes. It just rock needs to laugh at itself every once in a while, I think. And then you move on to My Best Friend's Girl, which is
Yeah, love
it's
this song.
it's pretty good, and you know it's pretty self-explanatory. I think we all
Yeah,
know
I mean
what
it's
it
everything you need to know
means.
about that song. It's
It's
kind of like Jesse's Girl, but like before Jesse's Girl came out.
it's like Jesse's Girl. Like to me, I find like Jesse's Girl, Jenny, I Got Your Number, and like this one, they all seem to be just the same
Yeah,
song. It's always like a girl and a number or somebody
yeah. It's like,
else's.
although no, it's not like Jesse's Girl.
No,
It's
it's
like he
true.
used to be his girlfriend, and now his best friend's dating her, and now he's like pining for her. Like it's all kind of complicated and
And
weird.
I know it's kind of funny because he says this did never actually happen to him personally. It's
Yeah,
just a story. As a sense I got too, I was like, I don't think he's serious. I think it's
that's
just
another one where it's like it's a boy meets girl, like love triangle. Like it's supposed to be again detached and ironic.
yeah, I know. It's great. It's got a great pop vibe to it, but it's
Yeah.
got some great. What I also love about this album is the guitar work on it is really
Oh, the
good.
guitar work is so underrated
Like
on it. It's just like,
super underrated. Yeah.
yeah, it adds that extra flavor. Like
There's like a
with
little
this guy
diddly vibe,
shredding in the
like
background. Like,
yeah, that's
yeah,
it. I know, and it's always very tasteful. They always put it at the right
yeah,
moment. There's
it's
never an
not too
over
much.
exactly because some rock bands will just add in like these like 3 minute solos of like these like pentatonic bends, and they're just the same thing over and over again. And they just and then they add that extra solo that nobody really needed to hear. But this is everything is just perfect and tasteful. That's what I love about
Yeah,
this album. Nothing feels quite out of place.
yeah.
And then you've got Just What I Needed, which
Oh
is
yeah. I have a saying that if you don't like this song, like I don't. I actually I have not met anyone who doesn't like this song. I don't think I've ever
what is
met one.
wrong with you if you don't like this
Like
song?
it's just so catchy and so charming.
It has a
And
ton of charm.
there's just all these little like I find a great song has like all these little moments in it that like stand out to you. And this one
Mm.
has like so many of them. Like just the way he says time 2 times for like no apparent reason. It's like time, time.
Time, yeah.
It's like so good. And
I
like
know.
it sounds like it's supposed to be like a big anthem, but it's just about like the guy's got a dick. That's he's like, you know what? I didn't really need more than this. I just needed you
Just
to
what
be
I needed.
around.
I didn't wasn't looking for
You
anything
just need to be
serious.
around.
You
That's
just
all.
need you around. That's yeah. I
And I
think
just
for
needed
me,
someone to make this like situation. I needed some like drama and chaos in my life. And you came in and
and
you
you
fit the
came
bill.
in and you just fit the bill, but I don't really want anything else, you know.
And it's just because it's perfect because the chorus sounds like it would be like a love song. Just you're just what I needed, but it's like
But it's not.
no.
It's ironic. It's not really a love song. He's saying that if anything, he's like doesn't want anything more. He's just
Yeah.
he's actually like it's like you said, you just brought in the right amount of drama and
It's like
intrigue into my
I don't
life.
mind you coming here and wasting all my time. Like, that's such a shit thing to say. Oh, sorry. I
No, it's
swear.
okay. It's fine.
Guess
No.
we'll bleep that out. But it is. It's a terrible thing to say. It's like, I don't mind if you come here. You waste all my time. That's like the pure gall of like saying that.
It's so true though. It's so true. There's times where I've heard that when I'm like, what is he? Does he mean what he's saying? Like, who is this person?
Yeah, and he's just like, it's not the perfume or the ribbons in your hair. It's just that you're literally like making time go by for me. So thank you. But yeah, it's so likable. How can you not like the song? It's so good.
I know it's
Like
my favorite on the album.
even people who
Actively.
don't like classic rock or new wave or anything, like show them this song and I'm for sure they like it. Like it's impossible.
The only like way that you could hate it is if you listened to Shom long enough and you heard it for like
Yeah,
the 356th time on Shom.
fair enough. But I
Then
still
maybe
like
you
it.
would.
It's like one of the rare songs that like
But
Dome
yeah.
still didn't ruin.
And then also like the movie Wimbledon took it and made it like their theme song. And that's a really I don't know. I mean, it's a chick flick, whatever, but that's your thing. It's about, these two people in a tennis tournament. It's with Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, it's cheesy, like mid 2000s chick flick. And that was like the theme song for it. But otherwise, it's my personal favorite on the album. I was just listening to it on the way here and I was like, this song is so good. Like I just rewinded it just over and over and over again. It almost never gets old to me. And the chords are also pretty generic too. Like you can hear that progression like almost like every rock song ever, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it just fits the song so well.
Yeah, even I don't know, but even the beginning, like dun, dun, like that's awesome.
I know it wouldn't work with anyone else, but for some reason with them it works. And I'm in touch with your world. This is a fun one too.
I know. I think for some people this is like a lesser one on the album, but I kind of like it. Like it's kind of a palate cleanser. It's like really weird.
Yeah,
and it's definitely the dorkiest song.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it sounds like a bunch of nerds, like on their like, I don't know. They didn't have computers really back then. I mean, they did, but not for mass release. But I just imagine like a bunch of nerds on a computer.
It just sounds, it sounds
I'm
really
in touch
nerdy.
with your world.
If Gary Newman wrote a song, if Gary Newman was in the Cars, like I think that would be it. That would be the song he would write. Because Gary Newman is very about like weird industrial stuff, like, alien kind of stuff. And then you got Don't You Stop. This is a really funny one because I played this with my friend in the car the other day, and he was not getting into it at all. Which I mean, that's fine.
You played
I get
him
it.
That one out of all the songs on
I
the
know.
album.
If you play that one, it's not the best one. And
no, I still like it.
I still like it, but it's not the best one. I think it's just the lyrics. I think what his reaction was something like, yeah, those lyrics are pretty creative. And he's being sarcastic because he's just like, don't you stop.
I mean,
it's
really repetitive.
And it's the part where he's
about
yeah,
loving thyself.
Loving thyself. It's like, especially the part where it's like, if it makes you feel good, and make you feel good is like feel good itself is such a music cliche. It's been in like every popular rock song or just any song ever written. Is like, does it make you feel good? And it's just him, and that makes me laugh because there's a lot of songs with feel good in it, and like Foreigner. Okay, there's Robin Thicke, like there's The Offspring, but The Offspring don't sing about feeling
there's
good.
Nina Simone.
Feeling
good.
There's James Brown, of course. James Brown is
I feel good.
Yeah, I feel good. Right? It's
true.
Like you could do a whole episode about feel good, but there's just the line feel good.
Fair enough.
But I still like it. And then you've got You're All I've Got Tonight, which is another one of like my other favorite on this album.
The lyrics again, like a lot of the lyrics on these songs are just, they're not really all that deep. No. But there's something about this song. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the drum work. The drum work's really cool. It's really very creative. Even the power chords are really chunky and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the way it opens is pretty cool too. Like and the chorus comes in, and it's just like, again, I don't like to call it pop, but it's got such great pop sensibilities. Just the vocal harmonies, the power chords. It's I love it, man. It's for me. I don't know. It reminds it like for me, like You're All I've Got Tonight and Just What I Needed are like my two favorites on the album. But again, it's hard to pick favorites. They're all just so good.
Yeah.
And then you got Bye Bye Love.
Yeah.
And that's another really good one. I love the transition between.
Yeah, I like the two of those songs together are like the same for me. Like I have to put them together.
Me too.
Like
maybe they intended it that way. Like I
think so, because the whole like second half just like segs into one another. Like it's one big suite almost. It's really cool.
It's really cool. I know. That's what I loved about it. It's something you only really pick up on after like maybe a few listens.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this is just goes from one to the other. It's perfect. The way it's mixed, the timing is great. And it's funny. I just find the chorus makes me laugh because it's very
Bye.
jangle pop.
Bye, love.
It's like
Yeah.
dan 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 dan.
It
You
is
know,
very
like
jangle pop. It's
it's very
true.
jangle pop, and you can hear that in bands like The Laws and bands like Third Eye Blind, Weezer. The Cars were super influential for just a lot of '90s pop punk or just pop in
A lot of
general.
even like early 2000s, like pop rock, like Fountains
Yeah.
of Wayne,
Oh yeah. Well,
which,
Fountains of Wayne is like a direct copy, like a
yeah,
carbon
I'm pretty
copy
sure
of
Rick
the Cars.
Ocasek produced them.
Yeah.
So fair enough.
Stacy's, I think, the main
Actually,
riff.
Rick Ocasek also produced Weezer. So
Now
there's
we
the
know he
yeah,
basically just like produced bands that sound exactly like the Cars.
basically.
Yeah, but he's a legend though. Rest in peace. It's sad he passed away a few years ago, but he's
Yeah.
like a music legend, dude. The guy, produced Weezer and obviously, and it's crazy that I didn't know this is their first album. This is their debut album, just right out the
Yeah,
bat.
it's probably one of the best
I'd
debut
argue it's
albums
their
I've ever
best. I,
heard.
I mean,
It's one of the I mean
there's a
there
few
are,
other
I'm
really good
sure,
ones.
and I can't think off the top of my head, but it's definitely up there. Definitely top 50 because like they never did better. They just never did.
I'm not sure if I had
Candio is
Candio.
pretty good. Candio
Candio
is
is
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
Comes really close
I'm not sure if
after that.
Panorama's any
Oh,
good.
was
Was
it
it?
Panorama's? Yeah.
Eh,
No.
Shake It Up. Heartbeat City.
Heartbeat City's pretty
That's
good.
a good one. It's got
There's a
Magic
few
on it.
duds, but it comes close.
Magic and Drive
Magic
are
Drive.
good.
You might think.
You might think, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's just probably like Door to Door was probably. The thing is, like the Cars are their song titles are so cheesy, man. They are
I
so
know.
cheesy. Like I'm looking through some of them. Leave or Stay. You Are the Girl. Double Trouble. Fine Line. Tata Wayo Wayo. Oh, this is really funny. Strap Me In, Coming Up You, Wound Up on You, Go Away, and Door. I think he's just like saying things almost, just writing them down. It's just a lot of cliches. Oh man, there's Cool Fool, Candy O. Oh, this is like another episode, man. We just go through some of these. All right, let's continue. So yeah, sidebar there, but we're going back here. I just kind of got lost in their album.
Moving in Stereo. That's the next one.
Moving in Stereo. Thank you.
This is my favorite. Just by me is my favorite, but this is like probably
I think
tied. I love the song.
I think
I
it's like
love
I'm
it.
in touch with your world and Moving in Stereo are one of the more different sounding ones.
Oh, it's just so cool. It's such a
Mhm.
good intro. It's like dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun, dun,
dun,
dun.
it's
I
like
know.
really cool. I don't know if you ever saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that.
That it's in that movie. I can't describe the scene because it's
Yeah,
a little bit
I know. I know that movie's a bit
or
not
R-rated.
no, I know. No, I
But
know what you mean. But I got you. No, it's pretty
but it's like that's such an epic scene. It's kind of creepy,
oh,
actually, in
100%.
hindsight, and probably has not aged well. But like the epicness of that song is just like wow, like I love it. I don't know what it means at all. I don't know what moving in stereo means at
It has
all.
something to do with like I thought it's something to do with like a car stereo.
Oh maybe it's about driving a car. It kind of sounds like cruising in a car, like
Maybe.
in the 70s, like dan,
Dun,
dan,
dun.
dan.
Well, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like some guy pulling up in like his T-Bird
Yeah.
like to a high school dance or something in like the 70s. Like some guy with like a bowl cut or something, or
Yeah.
this guy with like long hair and thinks he's super cool and he's really not, just playing Move in Stereo. And then all mixed up. This is the one that I had to listen to actually on my way home because I couldn't quite remember what this one was.
Yeah, this is almost like
like
I always put this with moving in stereo. Like I find that this is part of the song. Even though it's like a separate track, I find it's like part of it.
Mhm.
And it's cool. It's like a cool juxtaposition because like moving stereo sounds like cool, badass. Like And then this one is all like confused and like, oh, I didn't get the girl, did I? I'm all mixed up. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be one interpretation. I mean, I wouldn't say this is there's no weak songs in the album, but it's not one it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that catchy
No, it
pop
doesn't. It
chorus,
doesn't. I
right?
find that it works in the context of the album like
Yeah.
really, really well. But by itself, it doesn't work as a single track.
That's it. It's a little more dry, I find, compared to the other ones. It's a little more dry, a little harder
Yeah,
to
it's
get
almost
into.
Foreigner. A little like it's
It's a little foreigner-esque.
borderline.
Yeah, I
Foreigner or
know.
Toto kind of.
Yeah.
That's the one where you can really hear Benjamin Orr because he sounded more like
Yeah,
that kind of singer.
yeah. So yeah, that pretty much sums up our review. I mean, this is a great album. Wherever you are, go out.
Yeah,
Get
it's
yourself
just
a copy
a
of
lot
this
of fun.
album.
It's just a fun album. Like
It's just a fun album.
If you need like a palate cleanser, if you've been listening to too much pretentious stuff, like sometimes I do, you gotta listen to like this. Is just I don't know. It's just so charming and fun. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm sure if you dissected it, you'd be like, okay, well, there's some generic parts. Or it's just like perfect example of an album where all parts like individually maybe aren't super strong, but you put them together and it just makes like perfect party. It's such a good party record. Like put that on.
You put that on a party
and it'll
you'll live it up the entire, especially just when I need it. I mean, come on, that song comes on and it's like instant party, instant good times. It's a lot of
good time, good time album. It always makes me happy. It always makes me think being like young and happy.
Oh yeah, same here. No, I agree. I guess it's hard to rate albums like classic albums because they're all pretty much good, but this is something like a 9 on 10 or like a 10 on 10 pretty much. It's pretty flawless.
I know. I honestly like. I know objectively, I could find things to make it not a 10 on 10, but I think what it sets out to do, it absolutely achieves. It's not trying to be like Mozart. It's not trying to be like Prague. It's just trying to be like, yeah, it's supposed to be fun music with like a little ironic edge to it that makes it fresh. Like it's not just like, you know, it's not like Toto or Foreigner. Like I like listening to those bands sometimes, but they're not very deep, you know. Like Cars just have like a little bit of edge to make them like just that much interesting.
No, exactly.
But they're not like, I don't know, they're not like Talking Heads or Elvis Costello or any of those acts. They're not the most interesting new wave band. They're definitely not the weirdest.
No, definitely not. They're kind of new wave that like they're really the beginning stages of new wave because they employed a lot of synth, right? But I find it hard to lump them in with like a lot of other new wave bands like Duran Duran or I don't know. It's Tears for Fears is even like Depeche Mode. Like new wave has some darker elements to it, but also they employ more synth. I think that like this album for me, it's very synth driven.
Yeah, but it's
still very guitar driven.
Yeah, it's synth, but it's still, I think that's what makes it like the closest to classic rock because it still has like some riffage in it, like just a little bit of riffage.
Yeah, exactly.
The guitar that keeps it there.
It's the guitar that keeps it there.
If not, they would be, or like Devo. Yeah, they'd be like, well, Devo is way more. Devo more complex.
But Devo's more complex because Devo kind of does this is like really frenetic and like
on time signatures
and stuff. So I still put the Cars as being more. This is more of their classic rock album. Less dark.
Yeah, I finally got poppier as they went. So this is like,
but still rocking off.
So I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Same here.
It's one of my favorite albums. So
same here. It's easy listening. Wherever you are, guys, go and put on the Cars and have a.
It might be just what you needed,
right? All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening. Peace.